Okay, my dear friends, good evening. It is so wonderful to see everyone here tonight. I hope everyone's doing well and that everyone is staying safe in this challenging time. In fact, although it may be a little bit of a challenging time, I want to share with you that I think it is a remarkable opportunity for us to learn, to connect, to grow, to be with our families, and really I think this time must be utilized, and we can't let an opportunity so precious as this one to just pass us by. So we are about to begin our 16th installment of the trait of Nikiyut. I think it's the 16th installment of this. Maybe it is the 15th. Let me double check. No, it's the 15th installment of Nikiyut, but the 51st installment of our series on Mesilat Yesharim. So we are on page 232 in this remarkable edition of the teachings of Ramchal. Okay, if you don't have it, I highly recommend you get one. So we are speaking each of these weeks. We've been talking about the watchfulness, the cautiousness, the pristineliness, as we've been calling it, that's required in many different areas of our life. And we spoke about in areas of modesty, we spoke about areas of finances, of honesty. We've spoken, and last week we introduced the idea of the importance of cleanliness in our traits, particularly the trait of arrogance, the trait of anger, the trait of envy or jealousy or desire, urges. These are very, very critically important traits that one needs to master and control. It is a very big and challenging situation if one were to not have full control of their traits. It really is important, and a person has to be aware of these traits, and we're going to talk about them more as we get into this. Okay, so now the first area that Ramchal is addressing here is the trait of haughtiness, of arrogance. Okay, and that's on the bottom of page 232. Ramchal begins by defining haughtiness and discussing its root causes. So, begins the Ramchal. He says, Hine klal inyan agava hu zeh. He says the general idea of haughtiness is that she'adam machshiv atzmo be'atzmo. A person considers himself important in his own estimation. So the person has very important for a person to have a healthy self-esteem. It's very important for a person to believe in themselves, but how much is enough? How much is too much? How much is healthy and how much is unhealthy? And that is where what we're heading to now in this section. Sha'adam machshiv atzmo be'atzmo. A person considers himself important in his own estimation. Ubilvavo yudame ki lo nava tehila. So that in his heart he fancies that he is benefiting of praise, that he is befitting of praise. So a person considers himself to be all high and holy. He considers himself to be so great. Look at me, I'm so great, I'm befitting of all the praise. He says, now this attitude can emerge from many varying viewpoints. There's one who may consider himself to be an intellectual. I'm a smart guy. I'm a very bright person. And therefore what? Because I'm bright and I'm so intelligent, I'm so smart, people should acknowledge my intelligence. People should appreciate my smarts, and they should praise me. right? And a person is hoping that people will praise them, and perhaps they don't. And if they don't, then we can maybe get upset. Why aren't people acknowledging us enough? Okay, so Ramchal continues here and says, "V'mi v'yesh mi sheyakshiv atzmo noyem." Another will consider themselves handsome or pretty. V'yesh yakshav atzmo nichbad. Another will consider themselves dignified, and therefore all of these persons hoping and expecting to be honored and respected for that. V'yesh yakshav atzmo gadol. And another will consider himself to be great. V'yesh yakshav atzmo chacham. And another will consider himself knowledgeable. Klalo shel davar. The sum of the matter is, kol echad min advarim hatovim shebaolam. With regard to every positive attribute in the world, im yachshov adam sheyishane bo. If a person thinks that he sheyeshna bo, that he possesses it, if a person thinks that he possesses that, harehu misukan miyad lipol b'shachas ze shel gavo. He is immediately at risk of falling into the abyss of haughtiness. So what Ramchal is warning us here is he's saying that there's a danger. Anything that you're good at, caution, you might become arrogant. You're good at making money, you might become arrogant. You're good at being smart, you might become arrogant. You're a great singer, you're a great performer, you're a great writer, you're a great teacher, you're a great anything. Ramchal is telling us we can all fall into the abyss of haughtiness. And that's a danger that Ramchal is expressing to us here. Okay? Are there any questions here about this? I'm just going to stop for a second, actually. Okay, if you look here on the bottom of page 233 in the commentary, we'll see a little message here close to home. Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe. Anybody heard of him? Yeah. Okay, so that's my grandfather. Rabbi Shlomo Wolbe in Ali Shur, part 1, the first volume, pages 168 and 169, notes the importance of distinguishing between the false pride that Ramchal describes here, which is extremely harmful, and a healthy self-esteem, right? Which is a primary requirement in serving Hashem effectively. A proper self-esteem develops from the recognition that every human being is endowed with profound importance and a unique mission, and that Hashem has provided him with the talents and abilities he needs to fulfill that mission. In light of this, it is crucial for a person to be aware of his positive attributes. As Rabbi Yerucham Levavitz, my grandfather's rabbi, remarked, "Woe to the person who is unaware of his shortcomings, for he does not know what to correct. But double woe to the person who is unaware of his strengths, for he has no idea what his mission is." In this vein, Chovos HaLevavos, which is the duties of the heart, written by Rabbeinu Bachya, he writes as follows: failing to see one's capabilities is not humility. It's dim-wittedness and emotional poverty. Humility begins after one recognizes the greatness inherent in the human soul and the fine attributes he possesses. A humble person is one who sees those strengths and nevertheless recognizes that he is unworthy of special praise because they are all gifts from Hashem that he is charged with using in his service. Isn't that amazing? Is that amazing? The very important distinction between arrogance and self-worth. And now a person must know, a person must identify what are my qualities, what are my virtues, what are my positive traits, and what are my negative traits, right? And I heard my grandfather say this so many times, this exact quote that my grandfather brings from Rabbi Yerucham. Woe to the person who doesn't know their flaws. But how terrible, even like he says over here, double woe to the person who doesn't know their virtues because they're blind. Without without knowing what direction to turn. What should I accomplish in my life? I have no idea because I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what my positive traits are. If a person doesn't know what their positive traits are, how can they accomplish their mission? So it's critically important for a person to have an understanding into what their qualities are. And then once you understand what your qualities are, you can work on what your flaws are. But for a person, my grandfather would always say, focus on your positive first. Because what we love to do is to beat ourselves up. We love to say, oh, I'm so terrible. Look at me. I'm just such an awful person, right? I'm so selfish and I'm so angry and don't knock yourself. Stop knocking yourself. We have to understand first how great we are. Understand how gifted we are with the traits that God embedded within us. Only after we understand the gifts that we have can we start talking about the other gifts, the flaws that God embedded within us. But don't try to work on your flaws and fix them without knowing your. It's like imagine someone has a car, right? And they're trying to fix a problem that the car has without even realizing that the engine can take them to a mechanic, right? They can drive it to a mechanic, but they don't even see if it works. They see that there's a scratch on the car. I can't drive it, right? You're looking on the external, you're looking at the negative without seeing what the positive is. And a person must identify with their own virtues and not push to try to figure out our flaws first. Don't worry about your flaws. We must first identify what our virtues are. In my grandfather's book, I'll just stop for a second and get his book so that I'll show it to you over the screen. All right, so this is my grandfather's book. It's called Alei Shur. This is Chelik Rishon, which is the first edition. Okay, and in this book, he spends an enormous amount of time on the traits, on the whole purpose, on the whole mission of identifying oneself. Who am I? So I'll share with you who my grandfather was. Okay, because my grandfather wrote in this book, he gave the idea, and we did this in the beginning of this whole series, this whole Mussar series. We spoke about the importance of knowing our traits. My grandfather created like a diamond. So if you create a diamond, okay, the top half of the diamond, you put your positive traits, and then in the bottom half of the diamond, you put your negative traits. And I'm going to try to show you my grandfather's diamond. Give me a second here. Here we go. So if you look here, you'll see, here we go. You see that diamond? Right? So those, if you look at this, you'll see that the upper half is my grandfather's positive traits, and the lower half were his negative traits. And anybody who knew him knew how much he cherished his positive traits and utilized them to help conquer his negative traits. Only once you know your positive traits, you know your abilities, can you tackle your negative traits. If someone doesn't know their negative traits, or their positive traits, they don't have the tools to overcome their negative traits. So it's futile for one to spend time on investigating and working on their negative traits when they don't even have the tools in their kit. The tools for working on our negative traits are our positive traits. So if a person has a positive trait, they're perfect. Now, the trait which is at the top of your diamond is your perfect trait. Everybody has one perfect trait. Yeah, everybody, think of a person that you know really well, your father, your mother, a relative, a friend, a spouse, okay, a child. And think of that person. Think if you had to define that person with one word, what would it be? Right? Think about it. Right? Most likely, if you know the person well, that's their positive trait. You say, you know what, this person is a person of kindness. Everything they do is to try to help another person. They're always thinking, oh, so you have identified a trait. Now, what's the negative trait? Right? Now, what's their bottom, most imperfect trait? Right? What's at the bottom of their right? And that would be the identifier of their negative trait. Now, just because you think that that's someone's virtue or flaw doesn't necessitate that that actually be their virtue or flaw. Okay? They have to, a person should know themselves the best, better than anyone else. And sadly, that's not always the case because the person we're most afraid of in the entire planet is ourselves. We're terrified. What is this black box going to deliver us? Right? What is this secret world within us going to reveal about us? Is it going to say that I'm a terrible person? No, it's not going to say that you're a terrible person. But we're afraid. We're afraid of getting to know who is that person. Who is that person? Okay, so I'm sure there are some questions here, and I'm going to unmute everyone if you have a question. You know what? If anyone has a question, unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself. Anybody? Don't be shy. All right. Ed, no question? Look at you. Oh, Uncle Lenny. Uncle Lenny's got a question. Let's go. Uncle Lenny, go for it. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. It's a friendly environment.
No question. I'm just sitting here learning from you.
All right. All right. Halavai, I should be wise enough to teach the great Uncle Lenny, right? To have enough wisdom. All right. So we'll continue. All right. Uh, so we have like this. We have the risk of falling into the abyss of our haughtiness. If a person, if a person recognizes that they have these great traits, a great talent, and this is what Ramchal is warning us. He says, anybody, I'll read it again, with regard to every positive attribute in the world, if a person thinks that he possesses it, he is immediately at risk of falling into the abyss of haughtiness. Think of someone who's talented as a talented swimmer, Michael Phelps. My favorite person in this regard would be Mariano Rivera, the great pitcher of the New York Yankees. Right, unbelievable abilities, unbelievable talent. You think of the great football players and all of the, right, it's easy for us to pick those because they're very much in the public eye. Take a guy like J.J. Watt, right? So everyone knows this guy he's a heart of gold. He's a hardworking individual. He's so disciplined, right? Every single person who knows that they possess a positive attribute is at risk of falling into the abyss of haughtiness. Every single one, without any exception. It doesn't make a difference. On the contrary, if you look at the people with the worst traits, they're the people who are the most accomplished. Think of the professors, the anger. If you say something that's not respectful to them, how dare you, right? My name is not Mr. My name is Doctor, right? Right? What's the anger? Because again, when a person sees that they have gifts, right? The danger immediately is that they will take themselves too seriously and not realize that it's a gift from Hashem. And if they don't recognize that it's a gift from Hashem, they're going to feel, look at me, it's my strength, it's my abilities, it's my talents, it's my skills, it's my capabilities, and not realizing that in one minute, God could make that disappear. Right? So that is the danger that Ramchal warns us about. All right, let's continue here. Page 234. And that is Acharei Shekava. After. Okay, sorry. Although the thought process that leads to haughtiness is always the same, its manifestation is varied. Okay, and that is as follows. Says Ramchal. So Ramchal says as follows. However, after a person establishes in his heart that he is important and worthy of praise, the result of this thought process, right, that the haughty behavior that ensues, will not manifest itself in only one way. Right? Rather, the results that can emerge from it are many and varied. And among them, there are even behaviors that contradict each other. But despite the vast differences between them, these results are all spawned from the same root cause of inner haughtiness. And both of the contradictory behaviors are directed towards the same goal of eliciting praise from others. Okay, so let's understand what we're saying here. The most conspicuous manifestation of a haughty mindset, what is it? Hu hine yimotze ge'eh echad. There's one type of haughty person can be found who thinks to himself, that since he is worthy of praise, and he is, in his estimation, unique and distinguished in his stature. Look at my accomplishments. Look at the books I've written. Look at the songs I've written. Look at the audiences I have following me. Right? Look at that person could get into believing their own greatness. It is also befitting for him to conduct himself in a unique and distinguished way, with great dignity in everything he does. Bein belechto, bein beshivto, bein bekumo. Whether it be in the manner that he walks, or in the manner of how he sits, or in the manner of him standing up. Bidiburo, and the manner in which he speaks. B'chol maso, and the manner of all of his actions. Lo yelech elo benachas gadol. Thus, he will walk only with great deliberation. Akevo bitzad gudlo, bringing his ankle only to the side of his big toe with every step. Lo yeshev elo aprakton. He will sit only while leaning back. Lo yokum elo me'at ma'at kenachash. He will rise up only a little by little, like a snake uncoiling itself. Lo yedaber im hakol, and he will not converse with everyone. Elo im nichbedei ha'am, and only with the eminent members of society, because I'm one of the statesmen. You don't know. I'm not just one of these simple landsman. I'm not just a simple person out there, right? Do you know who I am? Right? Elo, v'gam b'neim lo yidaber, elo ma'amorim k'tzorim, and even among them, he will only converse in short statements. Ki ma'amari hatrofim, like the sentence of the Cherafim, which the Cherafim is a term that appears several times in Scripture, refers to mannequins that were believed to possess oracular powers and were used to divine the future. Their terse oracular statements were presumably also cryptic and ambiguous. And this is likely what Ramchal means when he compares the terse statements of the haughty to those of Terafim. This kind of person speaks not only tersely, but also cryptically and ambiguously, as if to demonstrate that his every utterance is profound. Think of the great thinkers of the world. The great painters. They have the 60-minute special. We're going to have an unbelievable, the greatest painter on earth, and he sits there. Let me explain, right? Oh, what's the game? What's the game, right? Just talk like a mensch. You don't have to play the game, right? No, but it's part of the. I have to show that I'm so righteous, and that I'm so holy, and that I'm so prominent, and I'm so. That's what gets the best of people. Okay, so Ramchal picked up on this, and Ramchal is right away poking a very big hole in this. V'chol shar ma'asav, similarly with all the rest of his actions. He says that is in the manner of his movement, his activities, his eating, his drinking, b'malbushav, in the mode of his dress, b'chol drachav, and all his other ways. Yisnaig b'kfedus godol, he will conduct himself with much gravitas. Ki'ilu kol besoro oferis, as if all of his flesh were made of lead. V'chol atzamav even ochol, and all his bones were made of stone or sand. You understand what a person does to himself? He believes too much in himself, and he becomes an exclusive, right? No access to people. I can't talk to people. I have to live in a gated community because only the rich boys can be here. I have to be, I only go to certain places where, people of my kind, and even with them, he speaks very, everything's very terse. Everything is very short and brief because nobody can, God forbid, accuse him of being human, right? He has to be so much holier than thou. And Ramchal is warning of this. Okay, so that's one type of haughtiness. Okay, by the way, is anybody by a show of hands that's familiar with someone like this? Right? Right? We're all familiar with people like this. Uncle Lenny, you know somebody like this? You know too many people. Too many. You're on mute, but you know too many people like that, right?
I only know nice people.
Good. Good for you. Lucky you. Lucky you. Okay, second manifestation of haughtiness. The yimatze ge'e acher. Another kind of haughty person can be found. Sheyachshov shelefi shehu roy letihilo v'rav hamalos. He thinks that since he is worthy of praise and is a person of many good qualities, tzarich sheyeh margiz haaretz, right? He ought to terrify the entire world. V'shehakol yirashu mipanav, and everyone should tremble before him. Ki lo ye'os sheyehorsu bnei adam ledaber imo v'levakesh mimenu davar. For it is not proper for people that they should dare to speak with him or ask something of him. V'im ya'apilu la'alos elav, and if they should boldly proceed to approach him, yivale mikolo, he will frighten them with his loud voice. Uberuach safasav Yehumeim, and confuse them with the resonance of his lips. Ba'anos lahem azus, by answering them brazenly. Upanav zafos b'chol esu b'chol shah, while their face exudes anger at all times. I know someone like that. It wasn't my grandfather, that I can tell you. My grandfather, it's an amazing thing. People have always asked me, so tell me, how do I reach your grandfather? I said, his phone number wasn't a public number because people would drive him crazy all day. But I said, what do you mean? You just go to his house and knock on the door. I said, what do you mean knock on his door? You can't just knock on his door. Yes, you can. And he would answer the door. He didn't have a gabbai, and he didn't have a shamash, right? He didn't have all of these helpers and all these drivers and all these. There was a great man. His name is he's a world-class philanthropist. His name is Eli Horn, and he lives in South America, Sao Paulo, I believe. And he's a partner with in all of the outreach work that goes on around the world. He's a major contributor to all of those efforts. So I once met with him, but I heard a story of how he met my grandfather for the first time. And here you're talking about a man who's I think it's undeniable that he's a billionaire and understands what it means to honor and to be honored. And he was traveling to Jerusalem, and someone offered him an opportunity to meet with my grandfather. So he says, of course, the great Rabbi Wolbe, I've heard so much. I want to meet him. He knows, he's learned his books, and he's like, wow, what an unbelievable sage. So he said, I want to see Rabbi Wolbe. So he had his driver, and he went with this rabbi, and they went to where my grandfather lived. And the rabbi tells this individual, Mr. Horn, he says to him, no, don't go down the staircase to his house. He's right there at the bus stop. He says, what do you mean he's at the bus stop? He said, yeah. And they ran across the street, and they went to meet my grandfather. And this person from Argentina, from Sao Paulo, is almost falling on his knees, kissing my grandfather's hand. My grandfather's like looking at him, like, what's wrong with you? Was like, I'm nothing special for you to give me such honor. So he says to my grandfather, what are you doing here? So my grandfather says, what do you mean? I'm waiting for a bus. He says, you're going on a bus? No drivers? No, right-hand man, left-hand man, people carrying your cane, holding your books. He says, why? God gave me the abilities. Why? Like, what do I need people for? Like, what do I need all of that? He was the easiest rabbi to access was my grandfather. You just knocked on his door, and either he or my grandmother of blessed memory would open the door, or me, right? And someone would say, I came, it's my son's bar mitzvah today. Can I get a blessing from the rabbi? I'd go ask my grandfather, and you'd say, sure. You'd come to the door and give him a blessing. That's it. No, nothing. Oh, you have to make an appointment, and you have to do this, and you have to call 3 people, and get, and pull, and this and that, and get all the protectia, and that. Nothing. You just knocked on his door. Spoke to him. It was that simple. I used to go to my grandfather for Shabbos. I was that naturally, as a grandchild, I would be there many, many times. And for Shabbos. And sometimes I'd see these yeshiva students. And I asked the yeshiva student, how did you get here? He says, what do you mean? I walked up to your grandfather, said, can I eat by you Friday night? I was like, can I eat by you? So he said, sure. It's like, not so complicated. Now, I know other rabbis. There's a rabbi that my brother, when he was in 8th grade, went to his rabbi in yeshiva, took him around to see the different rabbis in New York, the big rabbis in New York. And they went to one particular rabbi, and in that meeting, one of the boys, so all the boys, like 25 boys in a class, right? The 30 boys in a class, they all pack into the rabbi's office, and one of the kids touched something. I imagine he touched something on his desk. The rabbi exploded. Right? Like, how did he say here? He said, and should they boldly proceed to approach him, he will frighten them with his loud voice and confuse them with the resonance of his lips by answering them brazenly, while his face exudes anger at all times. That's exactly what the rabbi did. And my brother came back home all confused. He said to my father, I don't understand. We went to go see the rabbi, and this is what we saw. Right? So my father called me. He says, maybe explain it to him. I said, look, it could be that he's a rabbi. It could be that he's a rabbi who knows a lot of Torah. But one thing I can tell you, he didn't work on his midot. He did not work on his traits. Because that's not the way. Think of a child in 8th grade who wants to see greatness. He wants to see a holy rabbi. And this is what he sees. Right? He may know a lot of Torah, but he hasn't yet worked on his traits. And it's 2 different things. Particularly with the trait of arrogance. Arrogance gets everybody. Anybody, Ramchal warns us right at the beginning of this section. He says anybody who has any element of greatness, of talent, of ability, can fall into the trap. Anybody. And that is what Ramchal is warning us about. Okay? In the previous examples, haughtiness leads the person to act pridefully. Ramchal now offers an example of haughtiness with an opposite appearance. V'yesh geya acher. There is yet another kind of haughty person, someone who's arrogant, someone who's a big shot, sheyachshov belibo, who thinks to himself, shekvar hu kol kach gadol u'mechuba, that he's already so great and distinguished, at she'i efshar lekavod she'yisparesh mimenu, that it is impossible for honor to be separated from him. Ve'eno tzarach lo klal, and therefore he has absolutely no need for any more display of it. V'laharos hadavar hazeh, to demonstrate this matter, that he has no need for honor. Yasem masim kemase ha'anaf, he will perform actions like those of a humble person. V'yafriz al midosov, and he will go to extremes. Laharos shiflus gadol ve'anava ad ein cheker, to demonstrate great self-effacement and unbound humility. V'libo misnase b'kirbo lomar, all while he inwardly swells with pride, saying to himself, Im kol kach ram v'kol kach nichbad, I am ani kol kach ram v'kol kach, I am so lofty and so distinguished, shekvar eini tzarich l'kvod, that I don't need any additional honor. V'ein li ela levater alav, and I should surely forego it. Shekvar rav hu etzli, as I already possess it in abundance. So it's the opposite form of arrogance. I'm so honored. You don't need to honor me. I'm a nobody, right? Yeah. Oh, wow! Look how humble he is, right? Wow, right? So his show off is in the reverse way, right? Ramchal knew about that as well, and Ramchal is very, very clear in his understanding and assessment of what true arrogance is. The fourth manifestation. Okay? Fourth manifestation. Number one, we said, was what? Number one, I'm too holy. Nobody can talk to me. Nobody can come close to me. The second one, someone who's easy to anger. Easy to anger. You don't know who I am, right? He starts raising his voice. The third is, like we just mentioned, someone who's going to be overly humble. Oh, wow, look at them. Oh, what a holy person. Look at them. They make themselves like they're garbage, right? And that's not either righteousness. Okay, let's just understand. For a person who's dignified, to act in an undignified way is not dignified. Okay? Next, the fourth manifestation of haughtiness, also with an opposite appearance. The yimatze geya acher, another kind of haughty person can be found. Sherotze lios nirsham harbe b'malosav. He wants to be very noted for his qualities. Lisyached b'drachav, and to seem unique in his conduct. Ad shelo dailo sheyahalalu kol ha'olam alamalos ashur choshev sheyeshlo, to the point that it is not enough for him that the whole world should praise him for the qualities that he thinks he possesses. Rather, he desires that they should go and also heap on him the additional praise. Not only all of these great things, but also that he is the humblest of humble people. It emerges that this person is haughty about his humility. And he desires honor for demonstrating that he is fleeing from honor itself. You know those people? Right? Don't mention my name. No, I don't need to mention. But if you don't mention my name, right? Don't ever, right? It's that kind, right? I want people to know that I asked not to be mentioned, right? You understand? It's not that I don't want to be mentioned. I want to be mentioned, but I want people to think that I'm so humble that it only adds to the arrogance that I possess. You know, it's interesting because the Mishnah says, "Call harodef achar kavod borechman." Anybody who runs and seeks honor, honor runs away from them. And anybody who runs away from honor, call borech min hakavod. Anybody who runs away from it, the honor runs after him. But what happens if someone's running away from honor and keeps on looking back? Is he coming yet? Right? It's like, I'm running away, but I don't see the honor running after me. Right? That's not true running away. Running away means I really want nothing from the honor. That means I don't want my name mentioned, and it means I don't want my plaque on the wall, and that means I don't want any of that. And that's what a true person of humbleness, of humility. What are you giving me honor for? This is something God gave me, this ability. God gave me this talent, the skill. God gave me this, right? Honor God. Don't honor me, right? This type of haughty person will station himself in positions below those who are greatly inferior to him, or lower than the derided people of society. For he plans to demonstrate thereby the ultimate degree of humility. He also will not desire any honorific title. They don't want. He doesn't want. Don't give me any titles. No. It's still, V'mayim b'chol ha'iluyim, and will shun all praises. V'libo omer b'kirbo, while all this time in his heart he inwardly proclaims, Ein chacham v'anav kamoni b'chol ha'aretz. There is no one wise and humble as me in the entire land.
Rabbi.
Yes.
What about the person who wants to give tzedakah totally anonymously, not looking for any recognition, not looking for any reason to be recognized, just wants to give from their neshama, just from their heart, and could care less about being recognized?
So what's about? That's great.
But I mean, are you running from some kind of honor? Are you avoiding it? Is this something you should accept? Or is it too personal for you to want to just not be known to do something?
So again, there is a type, is a person who really is humble, who really doesn't want their name mentioned. I don't want anyone knowing what I've done. I don't want any publicity for it. I really, would be disappointed if I knew that someone told other people about it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's true, in a truer sense of what humility would be. But then you have someone who says, you better not mention a word about what I did. I hope they say to everyone that I asked not to be mentioned, right? Okay, you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So it adds, they want to add to their honor-seeking arrogance by playing humble. Okay, let's continue. Okay, terrific. Charlatans like these cannot hide forever. However, haughty people such as these, who display false modesty, although they outwardly act as if they are humble, will have no shortage of stumbling blocks. Through which their true haughtiness will unwittingly be revealed. Right? Like a tongue of flame that escapes through pottery shards that cover a fire. Right? One little crack and it blazes through it. The sages of blessed memory have in fact formulated an analogy for this type of person, saying in the Midrash Rabbah, Bamidbar Rabbah 18:17, Marshal Bayis Male Tevin. This is analogous to a secured house that seemed to contain treasures, but actually it was full of straw. V'haya babayis chorin, v'haya tevin nichnas bahem. And the walls of the house had many crevices that the straw entered and filled. La'achar yamim, after a while, hitchil oso atevin shahaya besoch oso hachorin yotze. That straw that was in those crevices began protruding from them so that it became visible from the outside. Yadu akol ki haya oso bayis shel tevin. And then everyone knew that the house had really all the while been filled with straw. So it is with the matter of haughty people who act humbly. They will be unable to always hide their true essence. And their evil intention will become recognizable through their haughty actions that slip through the cracks of their falsely humble veneer. He says how everyone will realize that in fact their ways are conducted with counterfeit humility and deceitful self-effacement. All right, meaning their cover will be blown. Their cover will be blown, and everybody will know at one point that it wasn't genuine, that it wasn't real. Okay, so now Ramchal is going to conclude this segment on arrogance with one more manifestation. He says the final and most suitable manifestation of haughtiness, v'yimatzu geim acherim, and there will be other haughty people who that can be found, shetishar gavasam kvur belivam, whose haughtiness remains buried in their hearts, lo yotziu alamas, and they will not display it in action, elo yachshavu bilvavam, but they think to themselves, shekvar him chachamim gdolim yodei advarim la'amitam, they are very wise people who comprehend things accurately, v'shalo rabim yechkemu kamohem, and that not many are as wise as they, who understand things as well as they do. Al kein lo yoshisu leiv el divrei zulasam. Therefore, they pay no attention to the words of others. Even when they fail to grasp something, they are not willing to hear from others. B'choshram ki ma shekosha aleim lo yenokal la'acherim. For they think that whatever is difficult for them to fathom will surely not be easy for others. And when they do understand something, they assume that whatever their intellect demonstrates to them as correct, it is so clear and so obvious that they need not be concerned about the opinions of those who disagree with them. Regardless of whether those who disagree are from early generations or from later ones. V'safek ein etzlam al svarosam, and they never have any doubts about the veracity of their own logic. They're not willing to take other opinions either, right? They're so confident, they're so pompous, they're so haughty and arrogant that they think that only their perspective is the right one. They're not even willing to hear, maybe they're wrong. Maybe they misunderstood something. Maybe their clarity is not as clear as they thought. Ramchal summarizes, Kol ele toldos hagava. All these attributes are outgrowths of haughtiness. Hameshiva chachamim achor vidatom misakeles, which causes wise people to regress and makes their minds foolish. Mesira lev rashe hachachma. It imbalances the heart of even the leading sages. Ve'af ki talmidim shelo shimshu kol tzarkam, and certainly that the students who have insufficiently studied under their teacher, shekimat shenifkachu einaim, who, although barely having opened their eyes to the depths of wisdom, kvar chachmei hachachamim shavim lahem belivam, already consider themselves equal to the wisest of wise men. V'al kulam nemar, and about all of these manifestations of haughtiness, it is stated, To'avas Hashem kol galev, every haughty heart is an abomination to Hashem. Umikulam tzorach sheyinake harotze v'midas hanikius, and one who desires to attain this trait of nikius, of cleanliness, of pristineness, must purge himself from them all forms of arrogance. Haughtiness is not only abominable, but also misguided. V'yeda v'yavin. Moreover, one should know and understand ki en agava ela ivaron mamish, that haughtiness and arrogance is nothing but sheer blindness to reality. Asher ein seichel ha'adam ro'eh chesornosa v'umakir pchisuso, in which a person's intellect does not perceive his deficiencies or recognize his inadequacy. She'ilu haya yachol liros v'haya makir ha'emes, for if a person could see things as they are, and he would recognize the truth, hayasor umisrachek mikol hadarachim haroim hamgukolim ha'ela herchekado, he would abandon and maintain a great distance from all these evil and perverse ways. So it's very easy for a person to fall into a trap of arrogance, of feeling a sense of self-pride. Look at me, I'm so smart. No one can even touch my toes. In my wisdom, in my wisdom, in my understanding, in my whatever other virtue, right? And we will discuss this topic further with the help of heaven. When we arrive at the discussion of the trait of humility, which, due to the great difficulty in attaining it, husma b'divrei Rabbi Pinchas ben Acharonos, was placed in the words of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, upon which this work is based on, right? And remember from the introduction, he puts a ladder of progression. Among the last, he places humility among the last of the character traits for which one must strive, right? This is one of the highest rungs on the ladder of spiritual ascent. Okay, so what we see here is really, really special. What Ramchal is warning us is that anybody who has any form of success needs to be careful, needs to be extremely careful, not to feel raised above other people. God may have given you a gift, great. That doesn't make you greater than other people. That doesn't make you holier. That doesn't make you more worthy than other people. All right? You were gifted. So acknowledge that gift. Certainly, what Ramchal is warning us is not to let ourselves be arrogant and haughty over other people and to potentially do what is terrible in the eyes of Hashem, that one would be arrogant and stand with a sense of being elevated above the other peasants around him. You know, me, I'm the maven. Me, I'm so smart. Me, I'm so talented and capable. Everybody else, they don't understand like I understand. And then you have the other examples of haughtiness, of one who says, I'm so big that I can now be self-deprecating, and I can make fun of myself, and I can put myself down in front of other people to show, look how humble this person is, and that's part of the arrogance itself. All right, so we're going to end here. Are there any questions? Just to our friends online on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. We get together every Monday at 7:30 Houston time, online on torchzoom.com, and live on YouTube at the Torch channel and on Facebook. So thank you very much for joining us. Please like and share these videos so that we can share more Torah with the world. And now we're going to stay here on Torch Zoom, on the Zoom platform. For any questions, we can unmute ourselves at this time. So to our friends online, thank you.